Witajcie, Kornelia Chojecka. Dzisiaj nietypowo. W ramach Pogotowia Rodzinnego pokażemy Wam materiał, który nagraliśmy w Stanach Zjednoczonych. Pierwszy materiał to wywiad z Katy Patrick z Freedom Project Academy. Bardzo ciekawa historia młodej kobiety, która zainteresowała się doktorem na swojej uczelni. Był to dr Duke Pesta i tak ją zainspirował, że zrezygnowała ze swojej kariery. I co było potem, to zobaczycie w tym wywiadzie. Everyone, this is Go Against the Tide TV. We now are in States, and today we have a special guest, Katy Patrick from Freedom Project Academy. It's a pleasure to have you in our studio in States.
Thank you for having me.
You are the media host and speaker at this project, and could you tell our viewers about what was the beginning of your cooperation with director Dr. Duke Pesta?
All right, so well, thanks for having me. My connection with Dr. Duke actually started completely by chance. I was a student at the local university, and I had to take a Shakespeare class. And I was getting my teaching license, so I could teach the high school students for English, and I had to take this course, and I had been putting it off. I didn't want to take it because Shakespeare, you know, for me, I didn't like him at the time. I didn't know much about him. Well, I sit down day one, and this man is teaching, Dr. Duke Pesta, and I had heard about him, that he's loud, and in class he's very vocal, and he's very passionate, and that's all I knew. But day one, I knew I wanted to learn more about him because you could tell that he wasn't like other professors. He actually wanted to teach you what Shakespeare had to say. Not what Duke Pesta thought, but what Shakespeare had to say. And from day one, I knew I can't wait to go to this class. And so over the course of the semester, yes, I agree with what he's saying. Yes, I see that. I'm an older student. I returned to school. And so I related more and understood more of what Dr. Duke was saying than maybe some of the other students. So I learned more about him. I looked up his background, and I saw that he was against Common Core, which I very much so am as well. And then I decided, hey, I'm going to go talk to him about it. And the things just evolved from there, and I kept in touch with him, and I learned about Freedom Project because of that. And I talked to him. I said, hey, is there a position maybe open? Because at the public school being a teacher, it's not what it used to be being a teacher. And one thing led to the next, and here I am, getting the opportunity to not only do teaching in terms of helping out, but working with the administration. I also get to speak and do my own show, Healthy Republic, every week. So I've kind of grown into that role as well.
I think it was God's plan.
It's God's plan. I truly believe it's God's plan because I have several different degrees, and every time it led me to this next step. And I was put into that class for that reason. And
you had to sacrifice your career.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I actually, when I originally came out of school, I got a master's degree, and then I went and worked for the local newspaper. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just be a newspaper editor the rest of my life. But because of that job, I was in schools, seeing what was happening, and I wanted to get back in the classroom. I always wanted to be a teacher. That was my goal. I always wanted to educate in whatever way. I thought through the newspaper I could educate. But I wanted to get into the class. So I decided putting that off on the side. My husband was okay with it. And I go back to school again because I always loved to learn. So, and God led me on that path, and I took Shakespeare right when I needed to take Shakespeare.
And now we are in the Freedom Project Academy. And I think your story would be so encouraging and inspiring for our young Polish viewers. And could you tell us more about your dreams or maybe next steps about your project and also your career?
Yeah, well, I mean, what's happening now, I'm just a little bit over a year into this specific role. And in just that year, I've grown so much. I've started doing the Healthy Republic at the once-a-week show, and now I'm sort of co-hosting and helping Dr. Duke for the Dr. Duke show. And our goal is to educate the public. For us, we have way too many news outlets that don't care about education, don't pay attention. They just want sensational news. They just want whatever's hot at the time. and they're forgetting that our students are being left behind here in America, that they're not being educated in the way our founders were educated, and they don't understand our history. They can't read, they can't write, they can't do math, but they're indoctrinated and they believe in everything that is being, put forth on them. So we want to kind of blow the lid off it and show everyone that this is what's happening in America, and if we don't do something, we're going to lose another entire generation.
Like in Poland.
Like in Poland, yeah.
And what is your idea and your thoughts about millennials? Because you have to attract their attention during your classes.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm a millennial, and I have a belief with the millennials that there's, at least American millennials, there's two groups. There's older millennials and younger millennials, and there's something very distinct about the two groups, and I attribute it several things, but one of the main things is older millennials remember life and what happened at 9/11 for us, and understanding that is very different than the younger ones who their entire life we've been in war. We've been in Afghanistan and Iraq, and what has come from it. Those of us who remember before that have a little bit more appreciation as to what happened with our country at that time. So that's one of the things. But millennials in general, as a group, I truly believe we can reach the individual. That's what we're about, reach the individual. So if
one by one,
if we have a conversation, millennials are so used to being talked to as a group, just a group, so they can hide.
Yeah.
But right now, it's me and you. It's not a group.
You have to look.
You have to look at you. And when you do that, they find that connection.
Yeah.
And that's how we can make the difference one by one. And that's what you have to do. Is you don't leave anyone behind.
Yeah.
So that's what we need, millennials, and we're seeing a difference in the generation behind us too. So there is already, you can see the difference, but there's a big chunk of time that we really need to work on with our millennials.
We need to hurry.
Yes, we need to hurry. We can't sit and wait around. We need to make this happen.
And maybe the last question, what Poles could find in your project, Freedom Project Academy? Maybe some ideas for our Polish viewers, how we can engage in your project?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, because of the internet, we can connect.
Yeah.
We're able to get information from everybody. So if you want to learn more about what's happening here in America, you can watch the Dr. Duke Show at drdukeshow.com. You can see my show, Healthy Republic. You can see some of the other shows that we do, One Nation, Christ and Culture, Newman Report. And it's able way for Polish people to see what's happening here and see that that's the same thing happening to you. So we can all connect and work together. It doesn't necessarily have to just be American versus Polish.
It's great that you have two pillars, media and academy.
So and in the future we're hoping to, with the academy, make it so that it's not just the class is live, that you can watch the class anytime, and we're working on that too, to develop that, so anyone could take it at any time.
Oh, thank you. Great. It is a pleasure for me to talk in Freedom Project Academy, and thank you for being in our Polish television. Go against the tide, and see you maybe in Poland.
Hey, I'll be there. I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Przed Wami wywiad z Williamem z kawiarni chrześcijańskiej, która nie jest chrześcijańska. Bardzo nas zainteresowała historia Williama, dlatego zapytaliśmy go o początki jego historii. William jest synem pastora i postanowił założyć kawiarnię. Przed Wami wywiad z Williamem.
Hello, we are at Appleton and in coffee shop. Yeah, can I?
Correct,
and William is the owner of this coffee shop, and we came from Poland, and we would like to make coffee shop as well, and Christian coffee shop. Can you tell us how it started for you?
Sure, certainly. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary, which in business is a long time. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so we opened 15 years ago. My background, my father was a minister and started mission congregations I grew up, we moved to Canada. We were in Calgary. He started a mission congregation there, Ohio, Colorado. So that was my upbringing, and my faith is, absolutely it's the most important thing in my life to me. And I went to a college, a university, where we were studying to be pastors and teachers, and I was trying to make a decision of what I wanted to do, and I graduated as a Christian teacher, and we decided that while we had nothing to lose, when we had no money after graduating college, we would take some risk and try this venture. And my wife taught the first couple years while we were opening, while I worked here every day and slept here and everything. Yeah, we wanted this to be our ministry, and I think I could give lots of examples, but it's been a pretty neat journey with a lot of different lives that we've touched along the way. It's definitely been a inviting, warm atmosphere. Not just for Christians. We are very welcoming to everyone, but word gets around and rumor gets around of who owns it, and we've had some neat things where people that had no idea that we were Christian owners and a Christian coffee shop have just complimented it. They just see something different in the service, in the in the experience here, and we've been able to do some really neat things. Like right now in the other room, there's a group of 10 pastors that meet, every Monday from the whole area, and they talk about their struggles and challenges, and they uplift each other. We have many Bible studies and youth group meetings, and it's a coffee shop is a atmosphere that is more. It's easier to get youth to come to activities versus going to an old church or something. So.
Thank you. It was my second question I would like to ask you about how people know it's a Christian coffee shop.
Yeah, so that was a big decision in the beginning. So when we first were designing this and planning to open this, we had come up with a name, Crossroads Coffee, and our logo, and we were doing this all from out of town, from where we went to college. So we weren't very familiar with this area, and we were just about to make the move and come down here. We had secured the building when we learned that there was another Christian coffee shop down the road, like 4 blocks, and we had no idea. And I was devastated because I didn't want to be in competition with another Christian coffee shop. And so my father, who's a pastor, I look up to him more than anyone in the world. He has such a gift for outreach and ministry. He was raised with a very rough background, but he came to me and he said, William, why don't you be a coffee shop who is owned by Christians, who shows Christian values, but you don't blast it from the rooftops that this is a Christian cafe. He's like, let your example and let your spirit and how you treat people, speak for itself. And so I was like, okay, why don't we go that route? Well, a neat story that I tell everybody. The first week we opened, I had a lady who's a regular. She's been in every day for the last 15 years since, or weekday during the business week. And the first week she comes in and she says, "I'm so glad you opened. I do not want to give my business to that Christian coffee shop down the road." And I'm like, whoa. I didn't even know what to say. It was in the middle of a rush. We were busy. We had just opened. And anyways, we served her and ended up over time building a relationship. Every day I talked with her, gave her drink, and ended up being a few years down the road. I'd gotten to know her pretty well, known her family life, vice versa, and her father had passed away one day, and she came in, and I could tell she was upset, and she was crying and visibly shaken, and I just asked her if I could walk her back to the office that day, and on the way over, I just said, "Hey, Sue, do you remember that first day you came in and you said that you were so glad that this was not a Christian cafe?" I said, "Well, I do happen to be a Christian," and I just said, in times like this is where I find great peace in what I have. and I was able to witness to her, and she was very receptive at that point because I had built a relationship. But I think that advice that my father gave me was very wise, because it was not long before that Christian coffee shop down the road went out of business. Depending on how you do it, I think you have to be very careful to be welcoming and to everybody, to make it as a business, but also not be afraid to tell people what you stand for if they ask, and then show by your actions what you stand for. And over the course of 15 years, I think everybody in town knows that we attract Christian employees, and we help and will serve anyone, and we run so many Christian events out of here, and that's very important to my wife and I. But at the same time, we also meet people where they are in life, realizing that it may open a door to be able to approach somebody down the road and build a relationship, because I feel building relationships is so much of a part of ministry. Sometimes you can't witness to someone as they're coming right off the street, as they are in that point of life. Sometimes you have to get past that initial barrier, break those down, build a relationship so that you can plant a seed. And yeah.
So thank you very much.
Certainly.
That was, yeah, it was. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, and God's blessings on your ministry. And if I can help in any ways with advice down the road, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm happy. I do a lot of consulting for different churches and different groups that want to open cafes, and I'm happy to help. It's a way I can give back. So
thank you.
it'd be nice
Thank
to
you.
stay in touch and see what you actually do over there in Poland. So God's blessings in Poland. Thank you. Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.